Okay, so today we're going to learn how to do press molds. And I have here in front of me a press mold with some turtles and some frogs. And what you do is simply press, just like it's called, press the clay into the mold, and then you pull it out and it will have whatever shape is in the mold. It's kind of really amazing, almost like it's magical, because clay, of course, we know when you touch or press or move clay, it stays wherever you want it, just like that. So that's what it's going to do. When we push into a mold, it will keep its form. So what I'm going to do is you can either start with a round ball of clay or a clay patty, or I just have a little clay slab here, and I'm just going to tear off a piece of the slab that is the size that I need. So say if I'm going to do this smaller turtle here, I'm just going to go ahead and tear off a small end of that clay. Just make sure it's big enough to cover what you want to do. Okay? So you place it over the mold, and then you simply just press the clay into the mold. And I'm really pushing hard here. Push real hard. And you want to make sure there's no air trapped behind it. And you want to make sure that the clay goes into the area of the mold. You see how the turtle's pretty deep? So I want to make sure my middle is pushed real hard so I have clay contact with the inside texture of this turtle. So I'm basically just pushing on your edges, and then take the palm of your hand and kind of rock it and push. Okay? And then you're slowly going to just pick this up, and here's the magical miracle here. It picks up every crack and every crevice and every detail and design of that mold. It's really amazing. Now, we're not quite done yet because we have all of this that we need to clean up. So let me show you how you go ahead and do that. Once you've done your press mold, you'll bring this back to your work area. And on our work area, you'll have like a clay mat, or you'll have like a piece of cardboard like this. And you're going to be using, today, since we have elementary kids here, we're going to be using a paper clip. And you notice what I just did. I just opened up the paper clip. And I kind of open it up so it's like an L. There's your L. And so I have a handle here, and then I can hold it in my hand, and then I can use the tip. And very carefully, you're going to go around the edges. Just kind of score it through. Basically, slice it off like you're cutting a knife. And any little areas, like I have a really tiny tail here, I'm just going to be really careful going around that. So I clean it like this, and I'm going in one direction. And what you want to do is try and keep it as smooth as you can. You don't want any little cracks. I'm just kind of dragging. Sometimes it's helpful, instead of going straight up in the air, turn your tool and go sideways and kind of just slice through this way. It seems like it's on a diagonal. It seems like I get less crumbs that way. And so I'm kind of just pressing downward like this. Turn it. See what I'm doing? I'm going to place it near the edge, kind of press downward like this. I end up with less crumbs and less pieces I need to clean when I'm done. This is a slow process. I want you to do this slowly. Do not rush this process, because the cleaner and neater you do this, then the less you're going to have to clean. And I'll show you how to clean that in a minute. So again, I place it, slice it to the bottom, and then I'm just kind of putting it down diagonally and slicing it through. And I'm placing it, go diagonal, slide diagonally, place it, go down to the bottom so I hit the cardboard, slide diagonally, pull it out. Here, I'm just sliding diagonal, and that's important. Now that looks like it's easy, but when you actually go and do it for the first time, it's kind of difficult. Now, the cleaning part. Now this is real important. You want to make sure that you are cleaning this properly. What you do is, for cleaning now, this is the part that I'm going to be really picky about. You want to make sure all your edges are perfect. Can you see here where I have this little crumb right in here? Okay, and any little rough edge, what it's going to cause is once we fire this, and that means to actually cook it in a kiln, heat it up to about 16 to 1800 degrees. Once it's cooked, these little crumbs, if I left them, are going to become very sharp and could cut us. So we dip our finger in, and then they also don't look good. So I'm going to dip my finger in water, and I'm just going to kind of smear it or pull it off. And I'm doing this gently and carefully. So all of my edges now are just smoothed with, and the edges meaning these edges here that I've cut with some water. Okay? Try not to get too much stuff on your design because you don't want to smear out any pattern or design. You want to try and keep that nice and clean. You might have to do 1 or 2 of these before you get the hang of it. So if you do one and it doesn't come out great, what's great about clay is you just wad it up in a ball like this, the leftovers, put it in a ball, and we put it in a pile, and we recycle that clay. So always start, then you go get another little new piece. Take a new one off your slab, try it again. You always want to start with some nice fresh clay. This stuff, if I redo this and put this old stuff that I've already used in the press mold, I'm not going to get a nice smooth surface. Okay, so we're not going to reuse that clay. I'll reclaim it and then we can reuse it. So smooth out all your edges. Go back over, double check because you don't want any sharp edges in the end. It's nice and soft now, but like I said, once we fire this, it's going to be pretty hard. Okay, and then there's our press mold. Double check. And then what I'll do is I'm going to be printing your initials on the back. So when you are done with a piece and you've looked it over, it looks good, there's no cracks, you don't want these little paws falling off, you want them to be secured on there. And when that's good, I will go ahead and put your initials on the back. And what your initials are, now don't you do this because I'm going to do it for you, but what your initials are is the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name. So when you come up, you tell me clearly your first letter of your first name, first letter of your last name, and then I will print it neatly for you in the back. I'm lightly scoring. This is called a score. If kids do this, what happens is you end up putting it too deep and it can crack. So I will score the name, the initials for you, and then you can make another one. Okay? And that's our press molds.